Okay, well, good morning to everybody. We're going to get started. It is recording, and we'll have it up on we'll have the completed What's Your Plan on our website in a couple weeks. So we hope you enjoy. Take it away, Steve.
Great. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to this month's edition of What's Your Plan? My name is Steve Lorberbaum. I'm the owner of Assisting Hands Home Care. I always appreciate Patricia helping organize and set this up and helping find wonderful speakers for us. So now Assisting Hands, what we do is we're a private duty home care company, which means we put aides matched with people in their homes, wherever home is at the moment. Sometimes home is home, sometimes it's a hospital, a rehab, a hotel. We work with families to provide a little extra support for people's loved ones. Today, though, I'm really excited to have Maria Khader with us. She is the owner of JK House of Grace. In addition, she is also known widely and knowingly as a dementia whisperer. So she has a series of group homes. What we're going to talk today about is group homes and the benefits of smaller group home living as opposed to larger communities, with a focus on folks living with the challenges of cognitive impairments. So welcome, Maria. Tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Patricia, for inviting me and having me on your show today. And well, as Steve said, this is Maria Khader. I am a co-owner of JK House of Grace. And I'm proud to say that it's a family business now, because all the children, all my kids are involved in the business. And we have 4 different locations of JK House of Grace. 3 of them are walking distance from each other. In Silver Spring addresses, borderline with Leisure World. And one is like 2 miles where the head office there, and it's licensed for only 4 residents. So 4 different locations of a total 28 residents. And we serve as an assisted living, the community who needs to be placed in a facility where they cannot be safe at home.
Okay, so you're a nurse by training, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I am a nurse, and now I am a certified dementia practitioner and certified dementia trainer.
Gotcha. Okay, and so what got you into the world of nursing, in terms of managing and owning group homes? What's your journey?
Well, it's a long journey, Steve. It started with being just like a helper, you know, trying to find your way. And I believe I found my way a long time ago, that I want to be serving a community, So I studied to be a nurse, and I become like an outstanding nurse, actually working in the Middle East, in Jordan, working with a USAID project, also teaching and training nurses. And you know, life, you get to improve and get progress with your life. So I came to the States in 1994, and I started working as a home care nurse. And you know, when I was working as a home care nurse, I started visiting assisted livings and group homes. And that's where the idea came to my head, like, I can start my own. And with the help of my husband, thankfully, we started the assisted living, and we started the first group home. And that's how I did it.
Explain to me what a group home is. How many people can live there? What's the sort of the difference between a group home? I think most people are familiar with these large assisted living communities. How is a group home different?
Well, a group home is like a home environment. It's licensed. It depends to what license you want to have it, but the max it would be like for like 8 residents, or As I said, we have one for 4 residents only. It depends on how you want it to be licensed too. So comparing a small group home assisted living to a bigger facility, this is, like it's a choice of a family. And I would say like a smaller facility is always more intimate to help and work with someone who needs hands-on and care.
Gotcha. So I know, oftentimes they talk about the ratio of caregivers to residents. And
Exactly.
so what's the difference, again, between a smaller group home and a larger community in terms of?
This is exactly what you just said, Steve. The ratio is 1-on-1. So basically, like in a smaller facility, in a group home or an assisted living, I would say, it will be like 4 residents for 1 caregiver. So the total of 8 residents that we have, if we are like having the 8 residents there, it would be 2 caregivers in the daytime and 1 caregiver at nighttime. So that's the ratio of caregivers to residents.
Gotcha. And so the larger assisted living, I don't know if you know, but what's the typical ratio in those kinds of communities? Do you know?
I really don't, I don't know, but I heard from others that, sometimes it will be like 13, 14 residents for 1 caregiver in a bigger facility. And I don't know how they can cope with taking care of those people in a bigger facility, between feeding, changing, preparing, cleaning, housing, administration of medication, and managing them.
Gotcha.
Comparing them to a smaller facility where it's like basically 1-on-1.
So I realize this is probably hard to answer, but what's the sort of typical resident when they're coming to you? Like, so at what point in their life cycle, what are the typical kinds of conditions that make somebody want to go look for a small group home for their loved one?
Well, exactly. It's when I start with the first sentence is unsafe for this person to stay home. Unsafe in terms of unable to do his activities of daily living, unable to wash, unable to go to the bathroom, unable to change, unable to take his medication on time or her medication on time, unable to feed themselves or even care for themselves. So when these conditions affect a person, this person become unsafe to be home and unsafe for the caregiver who is at home with this person to take care of him. So they will start looking, and we will always encourage them to like be proactive and start like this hint there. When this person start declining, start looking for an assisted living where you can be safe and taken care of.
Okay, and so what's a typical day look like in one of your homes? Are there activities? What do people do? Do they sit, they lay in bed all day? Kind of what do they do?
You know that very well, Steve.
I know, I'm just asking.
Facility, no.
I want to highlight all the great things you do.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, even I want to go back a little bit to the previous question. Some of the cases that comes to us, it's a challenging cases, like, it has some dementia with behavioral issues. And that's when the families are like, they're not like, even with getting a private duty caregiver there at home with them, they're not still feeling safe to have that. So that's when they will start saying, okay, well, let's try being with JK House of Grace and see if this assisted living is safe environment for this person, especially when there are triggers at home. There are triggers that causes behavioral issues from combativeness to aggression, yelling, screaming, wandering, all of these behavioral issues that associated with dementia. That's when they will start looking for assisted living. Now, the typical day for us, it will be like, rise and shine and give God the glory. They wake up in the morning, get changed, washed, ready for their meal for breakfast. So breakfast is served. Then we have something called the grooming schedule that we have for them. And the caregivers are well trained on this grooming schedule where they will do their either hair wash, shave, the grooming schedule, shower, changing clothes if after breakfast end up to be messed up, with the food or with the drinks. And after that, there would be like a kind of like a break time because they wake up early, like by 7, they're already out, So they take a break time. And then after that, it would be some activities where we can get some physical therapy, occupation therapy, speech therapy involved coming to the facility from outside company. And of course, if there is none of those in the facility, they already taught us and trained us what to do with them in terms of walking, exercising. So we do some exercises with them. Then they take a break. It will be snack time, and then lunchtime, and then another break time, snack time. And we will do the activity based on what we have on that day. Sometimes, we can invite people to come and do activities with us. And our community is very involved with activities. We have lots of families that they come and help us with the activity, arrange for the activity, actually get the activities for us. Like we play, I would say, we have the bingo, we have, bingo, as to be more honest, we do have it, we played it, but it's not for the kind of residents that we deal with. But we have other activities that we do. In the house activities, we have baking, cleaning, laundry, folding. That depends on the condition of the residents and the cognitive, impairment of the residents. And we have other activities working with puzzle. And now, like this coming week, we have a group coming to work with puzzles there. And we are doing some music therapy. We have pet therapy. We have dancing. We have even sitting exercises. We always say that, exercises for people that they're mobile. No, some people, they cannot walk. So why don't we do some sitting exercises with them? And if any of you is on social media with us and on Facebook with us, you will see all those activities that I'm talking about is listed there. And we always seize the moment with them and seize the day with them.
Gotcha. So I know, a lot of times if you're talking to folks at assisted living communities, the large ones, they have sort of grading systems for the level of care, all the way from people are relatively independent to their total care. I don't know what their systems are, but what's the level of care that you provide, the range? Do you take people all the way through from they move in to end of life? Are there certain folks that are no longer capable of being in your homes? How does that work?
What a great question, Steve. This has always been my kind of, I don't want to say a promise, but it's kind of like reassuring for our families when they come and meet with me for their loved ones, admission to JK House of Grace. We will just say, I will tell them, as far as we are not breaking the agreement between two of us, we are ready to serve your loved one till the end of life. Now, of course, the end of life I'm talking about, if end up total care and needed hospice involved, we will activate hospice and get hospice in the facility to help us with managing this person's care. But we will take care of them from, level 1 to level 3. Now we're talking about level 3 is the high level, by the way, to take care of a person, like it will be total care. But in terms of dementia, it's like different levels, but we're talking about the level of care licensing. Okay.
Gotcha. And so generally speaking, and I'd like to take credit for that, but that actually was a note that was in the chat. So I'll give credit where credit is due. Again, how do costs vary between, sort of your community and let's say some of the larger places? Maybe you don't even know what other places cost, but sort of what's the range of fees or charges in JK House of Grace?
Well, when someone asks me about the ranges and the fees, I have to always give a sentence before I answer this. And I would say, when we put the cost on, like I put the range or I give the cost to the family, I will say based on the assessment that we do.
Gotcha.
Because someone at a level 1 is different from a level 3. And when they come to us, to be honest, they already level 3. between, counting the dementia issues and the combativeness and the other behavioral issues. So I don't know how the bigger facilities charges, but I know how I charge. Between having a nurse in the facility, that's me, and I have an alternative nurse that works with us, having an assisted living manager in the facility, and having 2 caregivers on board. That means sometimes for 8 residents, we are 4 available for them. Okay, so when we talk about having putting the range there, I will always tell them it's cheaper to have them in an assisted living than having them in a nursing home, or even having them pay for a private duty caregiver. Because, I don't know how much they pay for the private duty caregiver or a bigger facility, but I know from our talking to other families, especially when they have private duty caregivers, and Steve and Pat and Janet. So sometimes I tell them we might be half the price of what you pay for the private duty caregiver. So I would say based on the condition, and there's a sliding scale. Let me give you this hint. So I can work with families that they're not able to afford having their loved one with us, and they want to be with us. And they will say, Steve referred us to you, or Patricia referred us to you. So I try to accommodate their needs and try to help them and work with them.
Do you take Medicaid eligible residents?
I don't take Medicaid waiver. No,
Okay.
I don't take medical assistant either. So what I take is private pay. I can work with long-term insurance, that if they have long-term insurance, I can fill all those in, forms for them and work with the long-term companies to help them as a nurse, do the assessment at no extra charges. But I don't take Medicaid.
Okay.
No.
So are by and large, do you break it up by homes? Do you have places where people have dementia, but then there are other residences that you have where people are maybe physically impaired but cognitively intact, or are they mixed together, or how does that work?
They're mixed together, to be honest, and that also it helps other residents to be part of the care. Like we work all of us as a family. It's a small facility, and when I say it's a home environment, so we all are a family. Your loved one is my family, and you become my extended family there. So we like the resident who is cognitively intact, but physically kind of not able to help themselves, they are able to help us supporting the cognitively impaired resident. So I felt during those over than 20 years working with this kind of business, I felt like when I have a mixture of both, it helps us function in a better way, and it helps other residents to function and be motivated to do some work.
Gotcha. Do you provide sort of any dementia training for either your staff or for families? I know for us, when we're working with families that are living at home, the hardest thing is they don't understand the changes that are happening to their loved one. And so it's part of a lot of what we do is education for families as well as our caregivers to make sure they understand. You have sort of a similar philosophy and program?
Well, this is now 2 different things you're talking about, Steve. I always say the challenge for me sometimes is the family, not the resident. So especially when they go through denial, or they know that this is the best for their loved one, and I know it's not the best for their loved one. So I have to spend more time and more energy, and it takes a lot of energy from you, and you know it. Like when you work with a family who needs more support because it's a challenge family for you, and you have to like meet with them sometimes on, to be honest, daily. You have some kind of communication, and sometimes weekly. Sometimes the families are very well known to what's the challenges are they're going through with their loved one. They don't bother you. They just respect that you are doing the right care for their loved one. Now, the other part is the training for our caregivers. Our caregivers, that they come like, sometimes trained as a CNA, home health aide, they got their preliminary education that bring them to us to work for us. But the continuation of training, I have to do the cognitive impairment training. I have to do the infection control. We have to do the fire, protection, extinguisher, the use of the extinguishers in the homes and the location of those extinguishers in the home. We do training about how to approach someone with dementia, and this is actually with hands-on. This is the most important one for me at JK House of Grace, is the training on how to approach those residents with dementia, especially when they have the behavioral issues, so we can protect the resident, protect the caregivers. But other than training, the first aid, and the CPR, they come with that, and it's a requirement. We have to get it ready.
And so how do people find you? How do families know you're out there?
Well, thank God for Steve and Patricia and Jeanette. We have, some people, they know us like you and Patricia, and whenever the families are struggling, they will say, check this facility. We have we are working with hospitals that, MedStar, they know us too. Sometimes they are a good source of referral to us. We have geriatric care managers that they work with us, and they refer to us. So it's most of the referrals, to be honest, is the word of mouth. And I did take care of a family from the mother-in-law to the father, and then now the mother. So it's like the same family. I took care of their loved one through the years now. But it's the word of mouth. That's the best thing for you, for anyone.
Gotcha. Okay. Are there any lists that I don't know, I'm just trying to figure out, are there resources for families to search out group homes if they wanted to go find group homes? Is there a directory or anything that people might be able to find you in?
Yeah, if they Google search JK House of Grace Assisted Living, it will come on the social media. We are also on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook. So social media is there. All what they need to say is JK House of Grace Assisted Living.
And so would you say, though, that you specialize in people with cognitive impairments, or you don't? Because it seems to me you do, because when we've referred folks to you, it's because they've had some significant behavioral issues that make it now no longer safe for their loved ones to have them at home. And you seem to be able to calm folks down and put them in a place where they're in a much more calmer and better place. So I don't know if that's an expertise that you all promote. What do you say?
I do. I would say when you have someone with dementia and behavioral issue, what do they need? They need the love. They need the tender loving care. I do, advertise and say, I am a dementia whisperer. I work with the difficult cases. And I'm thankful for the people who gave me this title, by the way, because they worked with me through difficult cases, like yourself, actually. So I would say working with them is through my experience, through my knowledge, through my education, working with dementia. And I read a lot. And I watch a lot of other people, videos of how they dealt with difficult cases. So it becomes like I develop my own, I keep telling my family, I develop my own out of the book experience.
Gotcha. And the name of your houses, how did you come by JK House of Grace? What is it?
Well, who told you to ask this question?
Patricia did.
Actually, this is some families, they think that it's affiliated with a religious company or a religious, churches or companies. And I said, no, the JK is the initial of my husband's name and my name. So my husband's name is Jarius J. My name, as you all know on Facebook, is Kaula, but I go with Maria. So it's Kaula Maria. So it's the JK, and the Grace is his aunt's name. So we were planning to call our daughter Grace, and then we just named the house, the first home when we started JK House of Grace. I said it's gonna be JK House of Grace. That's it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's how we got the name.
Perfect. Does anyone, we have a few minutes. I'm always mindful of time. Does anyone have any questions in particular for Maria or for me for that matter?
No, I don't have any questions. This is Denise, but I would just say thank you. This was a great presentation. So Steve and Maria, thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you. So one last question, Maria. Do you have any of your a favorite story of a family member or a person who lived in one of your communities that just you think about and you go, this is why I do this?
Well, do you mind if I mention the same story that you and we know?
Nope. Please, go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is a story of, the gentleman probably is not even, he's not here actually. He's not in the USA, moved. We helped in moving him to his country. But this gentleman, that was a difficult case that, he was moved from community to a community and trying to find the right place for him. And I believe Steve and another geriatric care manager were involved with that person. And he is loud, and also he's kind of like, he's a man, and when you're dealing with someone loud, most of the caregivers, they're scared. They don't want to hear that voice, someone yelling at them and screaming and threatening them with the walker. So when I was working with him, I believe Steve brought him in and with the geriatric care manager, and I said, let me be with him by myself. So he sat next to me and he said, where is the peanut butter that I talk about? It's the almond peanut butter. And he stabbed his hand on the desk there while we were sitting. And I said, this is not the way you talk about it. I can bring it to you without making that slap on the desk. And he, with a firm voice and straightforward talking to him. So he looked at me and he said, well, why don't you go get it? So I went and I brought the toasted peanut butter, and he ate it. And I showed him that it was almond, not something else, because he only eats almonds. And then he started walking, and I heard that he uses his walker to threaten the caregivers, like he will be hitting them with the walker. So when he left, after he started walking after he ate, I noticed that he is not threatening. The way he is walking with it, his sight is not right. So the depth of the walker on the floor and the vision, he has issues with his vision. So he wants to use the walker the right way without falling on the floor. So he was hitting it on the floor. And that's when I said, oh my gosh, this gentleman is really hungry. That's number one. So I have to feed him. The second thing is he has issues with his sight. And that's why the caregiver thought when he bumped that and pushed that walker against the wall, the floor, they were scared. They should not be scared. He is trying to find his way because he is the one who's scared of falling down. And that's when I started holding his hand, showing him the way. And within, I believe, 2 days, I will send a picture or a little video to Steve and to the geriatric care manager to show that he was sitting reading the paper, chatting with the other lady next to him because he's satisfied. He got the care, the right care that he needed, the right attention he needs it. He wants someone to sit with him, someone to understand his needs, someone to show him that he is well taken care of and he is respected for who he is, not to treat him like as a patient. So that was it. That's just like,
I still have that video clip.
I should share it.
So, well, Well, I want to thank everybody for coming today, and Maria for your talk. It was super helpful to understand. And again, thank you all for attending this month's edition of What's Your Plan? Again, we do this monthly. We try to pick an industry expert and talk to them about the world of seniors and aging in place or aging in the appropriate community. We have a library that you can find on our website for talks we've had in the past, and Maria's talk will be posted shortly. So again, thanks everyone, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. And thank you, Patricia, for keeping us informed. Thank you all.